Welcome everyone to Beyond the Adventure. Today's episode is the Skyline Drive Part 1, and let's get started. So for the opening shot here, I wanted to show you guys Shenandoah National Park and also the Skyline Drive off in the distance. Now, Shenandoah National Park is located in Virginia. It is on the northernmost point of the Blue Ridge Parkway. It is an additional 105 miles or so, I believe, that actually extends the Blue Ridge Parkway, though you do have to pay a admission fee. Now, when you pay the admission fee, I think it's like $14, you get this really cool fold-out piece of paper here. It's got a map of the park and all the different stops and everything listed on here. Now, if I remember correctly, there are something like 75 stops along the entire thing. 75, actually, there might be more. 95, 100. Yeah, there's 105 miles in total for Shenandoah National Park, and it is... So, I'll just read off here. Shenandoah National Park's scenic roadway, Skyline Drive, follows the crest of the Blue Ridge Mountains for 105 miles. At its southern end, it joins the Blue Ridge Parkway, which stretches for 469 miles, goes all the way down to the Smoky Mountains, goes into Georgia, part of the Appalachian Trail. So, let's see, many of the drives, 75, yeah, I was right, 75 scenic overlooks are indicated with a black dot on this cool map right here. This is one thing that I do like, is when national parks and different places have, you know, reading material like this, and you know, it makes nice to save this and put in a scrapbook. A lot of things are digital nowadays, so you know, you don't have actual printed out pictures, you have pictures that are stored on digital media devices. Anyways, I have been to Shenandoah National Park, and I have gone on the Skyline Drive twice in my life. Both times when I was younger, both times on the motorcycle. One of the times we're actually here, we were with one of my dad's friends, and we were riding the motorcycles. We reached like a lower point in the valley, and a hawk had came down and swooped, and it got within, I'd say, a good foot or so of the top of it, of this guy's helmet. I don't know if the hawk confused his helmet for a mouse or something that was running along the road, but we saw this hawk go dive bomb, and this guy ducked his head over because he just saw it out of the corner of his eye. It was one of the craziest things that I've ever seen in my life while on a motorcycle. Anyways, right here we were just coming up on the first visitor center. There's like this first visitor center is called the Dickey Ridge Visitor Center, and there's a couple other ones. The middle point, or the midpoint of the Blue Ridge Parkway Shenandoah National Park section, would be the Bird Visitor Center, which is actually where I end this episode out today. But anyways, this is a cool interactive topographic map. It shows you the different height and levels of elevation there. You can press a little button to indicate certain areas of the park. They had all these really cool displays. These weren't like taxidermied animals. They were more so, you know, plastic, but they looked very, very realistic, very, very cool. Just little details inside of this welcoming center, this visitor center, showing you guys the life and the wildlife that exists in the area and the different changes of the seasons. So going on here, there are over 500 miles of trails available inside of Shenandoah National Park. That is absolutely amazing. I hopefully one day will get to walk on many of the trails, but let's see, what else? There are some interesting things I want to read to you guys. So, people came to the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia for rest and recreation long before Shenandoah National Park was established. The Skyline Resort has hosted weary urbanites for long stays since the late 1800s. President Herbert Hoover and First Lady Lou Henry Hoover built their Rapidan camp as a retreat to escape the stress of work and the summer heat and humidity in the nation's capital. The Depression-era Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, came in the 1930s to build many of the rustic-style park facilities, some of which are still seen and used today, so that everyone can retreat to the mountains for recreation and relaxation. A couple of pictures right here of them building the actual rail, or the actual roadway. Very, very cool stuff. This place is absolutely beautiful, and there are just so many changes in elevation as you're driving along. As you're seeing here, it's awfully cloudy and foggy, and we had a storm rolling in, and there was a couple parts where it was raining and misting and everything, but once you reach the top of the mountain, all cleared out. Now you'll actually see too in some different spots of this video how the vegetation is changing from being a bright, luscious green to almost looking like the plants haven't even started to bud yet for the season. Now, I had decided to split this episode up into 2 separate episodes just because I felt like if I did the entire Skyline Drive in one episode, that would be a lot of driving. Because, as you guys can see, this episode was about 16 minutes or so long from what I recall. And there was an awful lot of driving. Here's what I was talking about with the trees. They're just about, starting to bud up here, whereas a minute ago they were fully green, and you can see the grass is coming into its bright green of summer. Ridiculously foggy up here. One thing that's very nice about Skyline Drive and the Blue Ridge Parkway as well is they don't allow commercial vehicles on there, and the speed limit is set at 35 miles an hour. Though you're really rarely going above 35 miles an hour, especially if you're in a car. It's kind of easy to speed in there when you're on a motorcycle, but there's a lot of hairpin turns, a lot of very steep cliffs and drop-offs when you go around certain corners. Makes it for a very interesting drive. Like I said, this whole park here is just awesome. This park, the Blue Ridge Parkways, down the Smoky Mountains. This shirt that I'm wearing right here from the Smoky Mountains, I took you guys down there last year. If you didn't see those episodes, I'll put the link up here or down below in the description. As you can see here though, it is ridiculously foggy. I don't even think the visibility is a quarter of a mile. It's less than a quarter of a mile. It's like an eighth of a mile, not even. But anyways, you can see as we're getting up higher in the elevation, the clouds are starting to break a little bit. You can see here just about none of the trees have any leaves on them except, the evergreens. There's a couple ones that are popping out with some buds. Pulled over here and it's still just a lot of cloud cover. Now there's going to be another spot coming up in a couple of minutes or another minute or so where it's actually reached one of the higher points for the northernmost part of the Skyline Drive, so we could actually see over the clouds and everything like that. It was really nice, driving up through all the clouds, getting to the top, being able to see everything above the clouds, and then everything after that point in time was pretty much free of clouds, free of fog. Now, going down here, I think it's the next spot that we actually stop at is where it was a lot clearer and where you could actually see things, and it was really, really nice. And it was, you learn, like if you're on the motorcycle down there, you're leaving the valley and it may be 70 degrees, but by the time you get up to the mountains, it's like 35 degrees. So you're constantly taking your, jacket off and putting a sweatshirt on and switching your clothes around. The best thing that I could suggest is to wear layers. Right here is the spot that I was talking about where we kind of crested and got on top of the clouds for a little bit so we could see above it. And then from what I recall, the rest of the drive for this episode was pretty much cloud-free, pretty much fog-free. Now, there's 75 overlooks on here. A bunch of them, as you guys will have saw, I completely drove past because there really wasn't much to see. When you looked over there, it was so foggy, so cloudy. Here we are continuing down. We went from the northernmost gate, heading down towards the southernmost gate. Now, coming around here, I think this is a spot. It might not be, it might be in a little bit, but there is a cool tunnel coming up, and I remember going through that as a kid on my motorcycle, and that was the first time that I ever heard people honking their horns as they were driving through a tunnel. Like, we have a couple tunnels up here in Massachusetts. There's a few tunnels in, Pennsylvania and stuff like that. I've never heard people drive through them and honk their horns until I was down south, and now that just seems to be something that everybody does when they drive through a tunnel. Also, you will see a lot of people here riding on the Skyline Drive on bicycles. I give them credit because those are some ridiculously steep hills. I mean, those people's legs have to be completely ripped to be doing that. I'm just thinking, you see a lot of these people on the bikes and they only have like one little jug of water with them. Some of them don't even have backpacks or anything with them. I'd probably go through a gallon of water just trying to make it halfway up one of these hills, and that probably wouldn't even be the steepest hill, but I give these guys credit. They are out there, a bunch of people just riding around. A lot of these overlooks had little signs up here and to pick different things that you could see. This one right here, as you guys will see in this clip, so many bugs. This was just like the mayflies had come out. There were just so many bugs going around, and there were mosquitoes and mayflies and these big, I don't think there were horse flies because a few landed on me and they didn't bite me, but I don't know. I'm not too certain of what type of insects those were. Anyways, heading back down the road here while I continue on the drive, I'm going to share some of the other stuff with you guys from this pamphlet here. Let's see. Spring may arrive at your home on some specific date, but here it climbs up the mountains about 100 feet per day, starting in March with blooming red maple, hepatica, and service berries. Chipmunks and groundhogs will appear above ground again. Trees won't leaf out on peaks until late May. Wildflowers begin to bloom in April and May, and the large flowered trillium carpets forest floors. Pink azaleas bloom in late May, mountain laurel in June, migrating birds and colorful plumage return. Each season cycle in the year is different, bringing new reasons to return to the park. Now, when I went here before, when I was a little kid, it was always like late summer, like it was around August, late July. I think once we went down here, I think the first time that we went down, it was like the end of July, beginning of August, and then the second time was actually at the end of August going into September. Here's that tunnel that I was talking about. That is the tunnel there, the first tunnel that I ever remember people honking their horns at when they were driving through. Unfortunately, this part of Skyline Drive, there was only one tunnel on it, and when you get to the other sections that are, part of the Blue Ridge Parkway, you will encounter tunnel after tunnel and, even longer tunnels. This I thought was cool. Now, I've never been like deep out west, but right there, that just reminds me of something like out of Colorado or Utah or something like that. I don't know, just the way the rocks were, like the topography of that area, how the rocks were set up, and the types of trees, the evergreen trees. It just looked like something out like Utah or Colorado to me. Like I said, I've never been out there. I'd love to get out there someday. Hopefully film some episodes of Adventure Wednesday out there. But for the time being, I love exploring the South. The South, the people down there are a different type of friendly. I mean, up here, up in the north, not to knock anybody from the north down, I'm from Massachusetts. But when you're going into a building, it's almost like the person in front of you is rushing to get in as fast as they can so they can avoid holding the door for you. Whereas the people in the South will actually run up and open and hold the door for you. I don't know, it's just, everybody says hello, everybody's friendly down there. There's very rarely, crazy aggressive drivers like you see up here around big cities like Boston and New York and Hartford. I don't know, I like it down there, it's nice. I like the fact that most afternoons are filled with a thunderstorm or a rain shower, and you can wake up in the morning and it's already like 65 degrees out. It's nice, and I can only imagine what it is like down here in the winter. I'd love to get down here at some point in time during the winter months, see this area in snow. I know they do close off a lot of these roads from like November-ish until like March, until the snow is clear. They don't plow them or anything like that. Now, right back here, we're getting back into the fog. We're going down and around the mountain and heading south and going through fog and storms and everything like that. But we're getting close right now to the Larry F. Bird Visitor Center, which is the halfway point on the Skyline Drive. I forget technically how many miles it is. It's 50, so between 50's up here, 55's down there. So I'm gonna say that's like 51 miles. So the entire thing is 105 miles, so 51 miles. That's about close enough to the halfway point for me. So I figured that was a good spot to end the episode, so it just wasn't too much driving. And for those of you guys that don't like the driving type of episodes here, where it's a lot of just footage from like a dash cam and mix them there together, there will be another regular Adventure Wednesday episode in 2 weeks. Next week is actually going to be the part 2 of the Skyline Drive, where I continue from the visitor center and go to the southernmost gate of it. So stick around for that. I like doing these driving episodes. I did a couple for when we were in like Gatlinburg, Smoky Mountains type area there, and it's just, for me, to go back, I can rewatch this, I can rewatch our drive down there and re-enjoy our vacation that we went down south and filmed all this stuff for you guys. Like, the main reason that we went down there obviously was to get away and go on vacation, but at the same time was to get footage for the YouTube channel for Adventure Wednesday and all these things, because I just have a lot of things going on right now, and I figured if I didn't get down there before everything started for the summer, then I wouldn't really have a lot of footage, and I thought I'd go big or go home, right? I don't want to show you guys the same things around my area constantly on every single episode. It just gets repetitive. I like showing you, different places around here at different seasons to show you that, but I like going out, going on explorations and everything. Anyways, here is the Harry, I think it's Harry F. Bird Visitor Center. That is the end of today's episode. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I will see everybody tomorrow for Thungry Thursday. Peace.